So Buell have returned with a brand new motorcycle. So Buell, as you know, used to be part of Harley Davidson under Eric Buell. Then the rug got pulled from beneath them, or Eric Buell this is. Then they disappeared into the ether. Then Eric Buell sort of started up again, but then parted waves with Buell. And he went off to form Fuel, the electric motorcycle company, who's doing rather well in the startup capacity. But Buell has kind of carried on his name and his sporting intentions, as it were. And they've released quite a few bikes or programs for new bikes with this V-twin 1190cc. And now they've announced that they've teamed up with a partnership between Buell and Roland Sands to bring this brand new motorcycle, this super cruiser. Buell here, this is the Roland Sands, and it's basically saying that this new bike, Buell and Roland Sands are claiming that this new motorcycle, it's worth 175 horsepower, and it's a super cruiser, and they're not saying exactly when it's going to come out, but they're also saying that it's probably going to come out in 2025. Now, if you look at this bike, it definitely reminds me, it definitely has styling cues from a Roland Sands bike, but this reminds me of a bike that's got it's got a Dyna written all over it. It's got one of those straight up display riders written all over it. It's kind of got those lines. But look at the rear swing arm. That looks really nice. Look at the rear monoshock on it as well. So they've kind of taken little bits from the past, bit of an exposed frame there as well. This lovely V-twin engine on there, liquid cooled as well. I mean, it looks awesome. You know, the high Kraus bars, I think they look like, well, they're very similar to Kraus bars as well. It just looks really good. I would be pleased as punch to be riding one of these from Buell, as I say. Yeah, 1190cc, liquid cooled, V-twin. Also, they make a couple of other bikes, a Hammerhead 1190 Superbike and the 1190 SX Super Naked, and the Baja Dune Racer. But the Baja Dune Racer will only come out for the public in 2025. Also, they got the Super Tourer, which is going to come out in 2025 as well. Capable of up to a claimed of 182.5 brake horsepower at 10,600 in some other applications, but say this is like 175 for this motorcycle here. The pictures you're seeing here are of the Buell, this super cruiser, as its kind of prototype phase. So obviously with the exhaust being a very short exhaust, you know, that's not going to pass emissions, so there would be some changes there. But just from an aesthetics point of view, ignore the exhaust, it looks really nice. That looks a really nice bike, and it's it's got great lines. I really like it. Speaking about the build, Buell CEO Bill Melvin said the market is full of American manufacturers known mostly for big, heavy bikes, not fast, hot ones like the famous V-twins of the 30s. Our Buell Super Cruiser will be the hottest bike on the market, period. Yeah, if the CEO, Bill Melvin, is basically slating the rest of the American motorcycle production as being too heavy, too cruisery, and he's saying, hey, look, we've got a bike here that's going to be fast, it's going to be light, it's going to be a super muscle bike. Well, again, I kind of come back to the Harley Davidson Dynas, you know, that people are tuning up and they still ride those bikes, and it's kind of like that. Yeah, obviously the Dynas are all air cooled, but it's got very similar lines, that you've got a super muscle bike here with those kinds of aesthetics as well. So I just think it looks really great, I've got to say. I don't know what you guys think. Here's another picture of it here. It just looks really nice. It looks really nice, liquid cooled. Buell here are using 17-inch wheels, and it's basically the same as the Hammerhead Superbike. So it's great on handling, great on suspension, and also obviously the power delivery as well. But also the riding position is obviously more upright, and it's more designed for that street riding. And I'm sure if it comes in on price as well, it's going to attract a lot of those riders who, you know, were really still sticking with their Dyners as opposed to going with the M8. But some of those guys have actually transferred over to the M8s, especially with the Lowrider S. I think this could give them a run for their money. Yeah, so what they've done here, they've taken elements of the other bikes that they produce, let's say like the forks and the swing arms, so on and so forth, and they've actually put it onto this bike. And that's hardly surprising, really, because they're a relatively small manufacturer, and they're going to make a generic platform, if for want of a better word, but they're going to take elements that work off different bikes and put them onto this new bike, this Super Cruiser. So that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I mean, just looking at this picture, you've got a huge front disc there, and it's got an 8-piston caliper that provides that stopping force, and that's just insane, isn't it? This disc being so big, because it's not centralized power, it's actually on the periphery of the wheel. They don't have to have big heavy-duty spokes on the wheels. Okay, that sounds really interesting to me, as I say. But, you know, some of the details here, the Buell Super Cruiser specs, limited specs, which we have now, of course. It's 1190cc. It's a liquid-cooled 72-degree V-twin. Power in the region about 172 horsepower. Weight in the region about 204 kilos. And the price, well, we actually have no idea. But definitely one to watch. And Buell have been sort of lurking in the shadows, I know, for a while. Many people thought they'd just gone completely bankrupt. I've done quite a few stories in the past of Buell. Actually, no, they're still around, but not many people are aware of them. But they are producing bikes, not many bikes, of course, but this could capture the imagination of many a rider out there. And it's really going to depend on what the price is going to be on this bike. But you would imagine if they can produce these in any kind of numbers, this is the bike to go for. This is the bike to go for. I would love something like this. I've got to say, I would love. I mean, I'm a fan of the Dyners, but I'm a fan of that club sort of style, or that street racing style, or that style of bike which had high horsepower, but you also had a very light bike, if you can call a Harley Davidson light as well. But something like that, and this kind of fits the bill for me. So I spoke to Roland Sands a few years ago, actually. Well, as in an email conversation and an email interview it was. In his heart of hearts, he's still a racer, and he still likes racing applications. So it doesn't surprise me that he's teamed up with Buell here, who've got racing intentions as well, or street racing intentions, and they've collabed here to form this bike here. It'd be really interesting to see what the final design will be and what it will look like when it comes for street preparation or street production as well. But there we go. That's the Buell Super Cruiser coming at you, well, 2025 or before. We'll just have to wait and see.